Hello once again and welcome to economics class. All right, and today we are going to be talking about the theory of cost. Okay, we'll begin the class today and we'll try and finish it in the next two episodes. All right, do not forget that these tutorials, these episodes, they are brought to you by the O3 Schools application. All right, O3 Schools is the way to school. All right, you desire so much to pass your exam at once, either JAMB or WAEC, and get into school. All right, O3 Schools is the pathway to that success. All right, please, we'll talk about the features of the application in a moment. Let us see a past question from the JAMB app. All right, this is a 2004 question, number 28. It says here that in a textile factory, the cost of cotton used is a typical example of A says average cost, B say a fixed cost, C says total cost, this is variable cost. All right, so we'll come back to this question and many more at the end of the class. So please, we implore you to stick with us. All right, like I was saying, many of you want to prepare for your JAMB or WAEC exam. All right, and you do not have anything upstairs. All that is in your head is, let me get past questions, let me get past questions. And when you get the past questions, okay, you read only the past question, then you now have a very, very fair or bad result. All right, it is because you have nothing here first. Can you climb a ladder from the top? No. So you must learn first. That's why the O3 Schools app is a game changer in CBT exams in Nigeria. All right, that's how our students do excellently well. All right, the app has all the past questions you need for exam. There's a classroom that has lecture notes, that has the latest syllabus, that has video lessons that you can watch offline, that have flashcards. There's a study plan also in the classroom. You can create a timetable on the classroom and finish your syllabus easily. If you are preparing for JAMB using your syllabus to study, you are doing yourself a wrong thing. You are shooting yourself in the foot. Okay, there's also the question search feature on the application. You can search for question on any topic or subject. All right, we have what wonderful features like, of course, educational games like Fame and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire that builds your speed, works on your speed. All right, likewise, we have the UTME mock challenge. All right, that mock challenge, all students writing JAMB and WAEC come to the application to compete with each other every Saturday to win a lot of prizes. And then, of course, you get used to JAMB past question, JAMB likely exam question, familiarize yourself with how examiners think and set questions. All this are in a bid to make you the best. So please download the application. Do not be stingy to yourself. Activate it. There's nothing like scam. Okay, just click on activate on the app. At the top you find what they wrote buy activation key. Click on it, you see the correct amount for activation. Okay, pay and activate and start your journey to success. All right, so let us talk about let us go into cost. Okay, so basically, cost. All right, when they say what's the cost of this thing, you know that it has to do with what is money. All right, so that's how I say cost is the amount of money. Call it what? The amount of money. Okay, or what? Resources. Okay, that is what we call cost. All right, the amount of money or resources that a business spends to produce or make something. All right, the amount of money that a business, okay, spends to produce, okay, or make something. That is what cost. All right, the amount of money, okay, or resources that a business spends to produce something. For example, you want to go into the business of making parfait. Okay, you know what parfait? I'm showing you the picture of a very, very rich parfait right now. All right, so you know that you go to the market, you get your yogurt, you get your blueberry, you get your grape. If some parfait, they'll put cashew inside. All right, and so on and so forth. You get all of those things. You even get the plastic that you used to brand it. Okay, so after getting all of this, all right, the sum total of everything that you spend in producing that parfait is called your cost. Okay, so the total amount of money you spend to make something, okay, is cost. All right, that's what we call cost. All right, so in economics, cost means the value of something that you give up. Okay, the value, okay, that you give up to make something. The value that you give up to make something. That's what we call cost. That's what we call cost. All right. So it is what you basically spend to make or do something. That is what we call cost. So now let us go to the board. All right, and read from the notes on the board. So we say cost here is what can be defined as the total expenses incurred by a producer in production. All right. So the total amount of expenses a producer in production incurs, okay, that's what we call cost. It is the total amount of money spent by a producer on all factor inputs or factors of production in the production of goods and services. All right. So this is what we call cost, total expenses, all right, that a producer what incurs, all right, in producing something. That is what we call cost. Now, we also know how to distinguish. We need to have a clear distinction between what we call implicit cost and an explicit cost. All right, implicit and explicit cost. Okay, so let us do a very clear distinction. First of all, implicit cost is also called hidden cost. It's also called what? Hidden cost. Let's see. Implicit. It's also called hidden cost. All right, it is called hidden cost. Now, for example, let me make an example. For example, now you have a bakery, for example. You have a bakery, okay? And then you were offered a job of 100,000 naira. Okay, let's say you are offered a job to teach in a secondary school, okay, for 100,000 naira. But because you have a bakery, okay, you decide to not take this option, okay? So for that reason, this 100,000 is hidden, is an hidden cost. All right, it's an hidden cost. It's a real cost, okay, because you gave up something. All right, you gave up this one so that you can focus on this one. You gave up A so that you can produce B. Okay, you gave up B so that you can produce C. Okay, so for that reason, it's a real cost. It's actually a real cost. Okay, it's actually a real cost. Okay, but you do not pay for it with money. All right, that is why it is called implicit. You do not pay for it with With money. So it is implicit. It is hidden. It is hidden, but it is a real cost. All right. So this is what we call implicit cost. In implicit cost, economists view it as as what we call opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. All right. So that is that for implicit cost. All right. So economists view implicit cost as as opportunity cost. You know what opportunity cost is, right? The measure of foregone alternative. Okay, you forgo something, forgo A so that I can go for B. The measure of foregone alternative. That's what we call opportunity cost. So economists view implicit costs as opportunity cost. You must take note of that. It's an exam question. All right. But on the other hand, explicit cost. Okay. Explicit cost is the one we call the accountant's view of cost. Okay. Implicit cost, please take note. It's an exam question. Implicit cost is the economist's view of cost. All right. While explicit cost, okay, is what we call the accountant's for view of cost. Please, you must take note of that. All right. So explicit cost, on the other hand, okay, you pay for it with money. In implicit, you do not pay with with money. It's a real cost because you give us something valuable. All right. But in explicit cost, you pay for it with money. That's how we call it the account. What the accountant is concerned about is you pay something, you pay for, you want to make this marker now, right? You pay for let's say the ink, you pay for this plastic, right? And so on and so forth. Let's say you all this cresting also, you pay for it. So that is what concerns the accountant, all right? So that is what we call explicit cost, all right? It is called visible cost. Explicit cost is also called visible cost. Implicit is called hidden cost, okay? While explicit is called visible cost, all right? And the explicit cost is the accountant view of cost. Now, let us see what you have on the board. So implicit cost, they say, is also referred to as the economist's view of cost, okay? That's what we call the economist's view of cost. And they say that an economist views cost in terms of of opportunity cost. He views cost in terms of opportunity cost. He views cost as the alternative forgone. As the alternative forgone when a producer chooses to produce a commodity instead of of another. All right. So you forgo one to go for another one. So this economics notion is called the implicit cost. Now, while the explicit cost, on the other hand, we say it's referred to as as the accountant view of what? Of cost. All right. So the accountant, he views cost as the actual amount of money, spent in producing a particular commodity or service. All right. So that is what we call what? Explicit cost. So you must be able to distinguish between implicit cost and explicit what? Cost. All right. When we get to our past questions now, you see all of this being asked in your past questions. So you need to what? Pay attention to all of this. All right. So this is implicit and what? And explicit cost. Now I'm going to look at short-run cost analysis. All right. We know what short-run and long-run is, isn't it? Now, in the short-run production process, all right, some factors of production are fixed, while others are what? Are variable. All right. So it's a period of time where you cannot actually what? Increase your scale of production. All right. So for example, you have a factory, a small factory, you have one big generator, right? You have what? A small land. All right. So you cannot, it's a period where you cannot scale, just scale. And just go and bring 15 generator. Okay. You have, let's say, 5 workers. Before you know, in a small place, so you now go and employ 10 more workers. Okay, so it does not make sense in the short run. So in the short run, some factors of production are fixed, while some other factors are what? Are variable. That is what's called short run. So in the short run production process, all right, or short run cost analysis, there are 7 types of costs. Okay, that what? That will distinguish between, okay, 7 types of costs, okay, are incurred by the producer, all right, in the short run. Okay, so number 1, we have one called total variable cost. Okay, total variable cost is one we call this TVC. So TVC, total variable cost. All right, total variable cost is also called prime cost, also called prime. All right, it's also called what? Prime cost. Please take note of that. All right, total variable cost. Then number 2, we have what we call total fixed cost. Okay, so this is what is total fixed cost. Total fixed cost is also called overhead cost. All right, so we'll call it overhead cost. All right, then number 3, we have another one we call total cost. All right, so we have total cost. Okay, total cost is what? Is TC. All right, then number 4, we have that we call what? Average what? Cost. Okay, or we call average fixed cost, or sorry, average total cost, or average what? Cost. All right, so we call it average total cost, or you can just call it what? Average cost. All right, so this one is either what? ATC or what? AC. All right, so please take note of that. So total variable cost or prime cost, total fixed cost or overhead cost, total cost, average total cost or average cost. We also have marginal cost. Marginal cost. Okay, this one is what? MC. All right. So also we have another one called average variable cost. Average variable cost. Okay, this one is now what? AVC. All right. Then the last one will now have what? Average fixed cost. All right. So we'll now have average fixed cost. Okay. AFC. All right. So these are the 7 types of costs. Okay. That are what? Incurred. Okay. In the what? In the short run. All right. In the short run cost analysis, we have 7 types of costs: the total variable cost or the prime cost, the total fixed cost or the overhead cost, the total cost, the average total cost or average cost, the marginal cost, MC, AVC, the average variable cost. They will now have the average fixed cost. All right. So please take note of what of all of these. They are very, very important. Okay. And there are some few calculations in them. All right. We'll not do the calculation in this episode. In the beginning of the next episode, we're going to do calculation. All right. So now let us begin with the total variable cost. All right. But before we do that, all right, I want to beg you for something. All right. Please, you cannot be watching all of this, learning and enjoying yourself, and your mates, your friends, okay, they are deprived of it because of you. Please invite them. Tell them that something like this is happening. All right. Copy the link of the video, share it to your friends and loved ones. Wherever you're watching from, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook. All right. Copy the link, share it to your friends, to your loved ones, share it to your class group, your WhatsApp group in secondary school. Share it. All right, let them what come and what learn, all right, and what and enjoy themselves. All right, subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right, if you're watching for the first time, click on the subscribe button. All right, but if you're watching from TikTok or Facebook, follow us. All right, follow us and reshare our articles. All right, this is the only way you can help us. This is the only way you can help us. Please, please. All right, thank you and God bless you. Like the video, like, share, subscribe. All right, so let us see the total variable cost. All right, and all of this, all right, will be very, very useful once you have the O3 Schools app also. So tell your friends also about the O3 Schools app. All right, tell them to come and pass their exam at home. That is our what? Our mantra. Okay, so let's begin with the total variable cost. Total variable cost. Okay, what we call the prime cost. All right, so total or variable what cost? Okay, the one we call prime cost. The keyword here is what? Is variable. All right, that means what? It changes. Things that change. All right, look at it as the total money a business spends on things that change when production what changes. All right, so it's just like when you increase production, you spend more. All right, when you reduce production, you spend less. It's as simple as what as that. All right, for example, you have a bakery now. I'm using bakery, so let us continue with bakery. Okay, if you are baking only 10 loaves in a day, okay, and you are baking, let's say, 100 loaves in a day. All right, if you are baking 100 loaves, will you not spend more? Yes. If I'm baking just 10 loaves, will you spend more? No, you spend what? Less. Okay, so when you produce more, you spend what? More. When you produce less, you spend what? Less. All right, so that's why the total variable cost curve starts from what? From zero. All right, so if you produce nothing, okay, this is the cost curve, this is the cost, this is what? Output. Okay, now once you produce nothing, okay, so it will be in what? In zero. Right, nothing. You are not spending anything because you are producing what? Nothing. All right, but by the time you begin to increase your output, okay, because this your output increasing, all right, you see that also that your cost will be increasing. So once your output is increasing, all right, your cost will keep on increasing. So see, this is what the TVC curve, all right. So this is what called total variable cost. The sum, the cost of all variable factors of production is what we call what? The total variable cost. Okay, so let us just have some notes down. All right, some notes. So say total variable cost is the cost TVC. I'll shorten it as TVC. TVC is the cost of all or of the variable factors of production. Okay, so they vary or change as output what changes. All right, they vary or change as output changes. All right, so and of course you should take note that this total variable cost, all right, they vary both in the short run and they vary also in the long run production period. Okay, short run. All right, they vary both in the short run and the long run production periods. You must take note of what of that. Very, very important. Now, some variable factors of production will be what? Example will be what? Raw materials. Raw materials will be one. Okay, like fuel. Okay, fuel for your generators. Okay, electricity or power. Okay, shipping, packaging, even wages. Okay, all of these are what? Are variable factors of production. All right, but of course, examples of what? Total variable cost now will not be what? Now, cost of raw materials, cost of fuel, cost of electricity or power, cost of shipping, cost of what? Packaging, cost of what? Of wages. All right, so because, for example, if you want to produce more, that means you need to buy more raw materials. All right, and if you buy more raw materials, that means you produce more, and so that means you're using more fuel, be burning more fuel. All right, and of course, electricity or power also, you will consuming more. Shipping, if you want to ship, let's say 10 markers now, 10 markers. Okay, this marker I'm holding, and I want to ship 1,000 markers. Would they be the same price? No. So cost of shipping also will increase once your production changes or increases. All right. So packaging also the same thing. Wages will also increase because you need workers to work more hard to work more hours in the short run. Because let's say in the short run you have 5 workers, for example. So you need workers to work more in the short run. All right. So because in the short run cannot increase, so we cannot go and be employing 20 workers in the short run because you have a small space. You cannot increase your scale of production, but you can definitely produce more. All right. So 5 workers can produce more loaves of bread or more markers, as simple as possible. All right. So wages also will increase because the workers will work more hours. All right. So it's as simple as all of this. So this is what's called total variable cost or prime cost. All right. So there's no way you should be asked this question. Any question on TVC. All right. You remember that Master T has dealt a big blow on it. So let us go to the next one, which is what? The total fixed cost. The total fixed cost. Please, if you have not liked this video by any means now, please do that. Okay, just click on the like button, subscribe. All right. So let's look at total fixed cost. Fixed cost. Okay, this one we'll call what? The overhead cost. All right. So total fixed cost. All right, so if total variable cost is the cost of the variable factors of production, then it means that the total fixed cost will be the cost of the fixed factors of of production. All right, so it's the amount or is the total amount of money that a firm spends on things that do not change, irrespective of what you produce. Okay, no matter what you produce, all right, you are going to spend what that cost is fixed. For example, if I have a bakery. If you have a bakery now, for example, and you pay rent every month to be what? Let's say your rent is 100,000 every month, okay? You pay workers their wages, and every month you pay them 50,000, all right? And then you now have what? Let's say insurance. You pay insurance, okay? You insure your goods. Let's say 10,000 naira, all right? So now, for example, if you do this, that means that your total fixed cost, okay, will be what now? Will be just add everything together. I think everything should be 160,000. All right. So your total fixed cost, TFC, will be 160, irrespective of whether you produce 10 loaves, or you produce 20 loaves, or you produce 100 loaves. Okay. So in the short run, your total fixed cost, okay, does not change. Okay, it does not vary. Okay, it is fixed. It is fixed. Okay, and that is why if you look at your total fixed cost curve, okay, this is how it looks like. Okay, this is your total fixed cost. Okay, it is parallel. It is horizontal, parallel to the output, curve. Okay, and perpendicular to the cost. All right, so you must pay that fixed cost, irrespective of what you produce, no matter what you produce. All right, you are going to pay that cost. It's a total, it's a fixed cost. All right, so please take note of that. All right, so now let us quickly take something down. Please ensure you have downloaded the O3 Schools app. All right, it's a game changer. All these notes, okay, notes are on the app, on the application, also designed to help you succeed. Okay, so let us see. Total fixed cost, we say, is what now? The cost of the fixed factors, costs of the fixed factors of production. Okay, and they are costs that do not vary or change, that do not vary or change, okay, as the output of a firm changes. All right, so that is what? Total fixed cost. Okay, cost of fixed factors of production. They are costs that do not vary or change as the output of a firm changes. All right, and they are costs that do not vary in the short run. They are costs that do not vary in the short run, but only in the long run. It can vary, but only in the long run. All right, so they vary in the long run, but remember we're talking about short run cost analysis. All right, so in the long run, all of these things will vary because you are increasing your scale of production, so they will increase. All right, so your total fixed cost what will include to vary in the what in the long run, but in the short run, it will not what vary. It will remain what fixed. Okay, so that the cost a firm incurs, okay, even when it is not in production, there are costs that a firm must pay even when they are not producing anything. All right. So if you like to produce, if you like to don't produce, all right, you are going to what? You are going to pay that what fixed cost. Okay. So that's what called the total fixed cost. So examples of what? Of fixed factors of production. For example, you have land. You have land. Okay. You have what? Your buildings. All right. You have your machineries. Okay, you have your machineries, you have what your fixtures and fittings. All right, you have your vehicles, your motor vehicles. Okay, all of these are what? They are fixed factors of what of production. All right. So, but of course, the examples of what now of fixed cost, total fixed cost, or overhead cost would what now? Cost of land, okay, cost of building, cost of machineries, cost of fixtures and fittings, cost of motor vehicles. All of this will now be example of total fixed cost. All right, are we together? I hope you're enjoying yourself. That is how our classes are, and that's how the app also is. So you should get the app immediately. All right, so now let us now go to the third type of what costs we are considering, which is what now? The total cost. The total cost. Please ensure you have like, subscribe, and share. All right. So let's look at total cost. All right. So total cost. All right. And what is total cost? Total cost is the sum of both what the total fixed cost, all right, and the total variable cost. All right. That is called total cost. TC is the sum of what? Of the total fixed cost and the total variable cost. Okay, so when the output of what of a firm what rises, that means that the total cost will also what rise alongside with it. All together. Okay, so let's make this easy. So say total cost is the sum of both the total fixed costs and the total variable cost. Okay, and from here now we can now bring out what our formulas for calculation. All right, so that means that what if TC is TFC plus TVC, all right, it means that what now? If we want to find total fixed cost, we just make what total fixed cost the subject of the formula, all right? That means that what TFC remain here, TVC will come and join total cost. Okay, so total cost minus what? TVC, all right? Will now be our total fixed cost. If we are looking for TVC, make TVC the subject of the formula, TVC stays, all right? Then TFC comes to meet total cost. So our total cost minus what now? TFC. Okay, so these formulas are very, very important in our calculations. All right, on what? On cost. All right, so total cost is total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Total fixed cost is total cost minus total variable cost. Total variable cost is total cost minus total fixed cost. Are we together? There's no need to say TFC is total fixed cost again, okay? Because you already understood that. All right, so that is total cost. Now, let us now go to the next one, which is what now? The average cost. Average cost. Average cost. So, average cost is also called unit cost. We call it unit cost. It's the cost of what producing just only one unit. Okay, one unit of output. That's what we call average cost, all right? So, we'll see what average cost. Average what cost, or what we call the average what total cost. All right, so say it's the cost, this is the cost, is the cost per unit. Let me just say cost per unit of output, per unit of output produced. All right, so that is the cost of what? Producing one unit, the cost of producing one unit. Okay, so that means the formula there will be what now? Our average cost AC will be what now? Our total cost over what? Over Q. Okay, so this is what our average cost, or what our average total cost. All right, are we together? So our average cost is total cost over what? Over Q. Are we good? Now, let us talk about marginal cost. Marginal cost is another term, another type of cost rather. All right. Now, marginal cost is the extra or additional cost of that a firm incurs in producing what? An extra or additional what units. Okay, so this one is what? The extra, we call it the extra or additional cost a firm incurs, okay, when it produces an extra or additional unit. Okay, so that's what we call what? That's what we call what? The marginal what? Cost. Marginal cost. All right, so it's the extra or additional what cost a firm incurs, right? Or that a firm what incurs when producing what? An extra or additional unit of what? Of output. All right, so and the formula for what our marginal cost is to our total cost, our change in total cost rather, of our change in quantity. All right, so the difference between this and this, all right, is that what now? Our marginal cost, MC, is what now? Change in what? Total cost over change in what? In quantity of what? Of output. Are we together? So now that is that. We can expand this to be what now? Equals to what now? TCN minus what? TC into bracket TCN minus 1 all over what? QN minus QN minus 1. All right, I'll explain what this means. All right, so TCN, all right, this is total cost. All right, you know it's a change. We're talking about what? A change. All right, so just take note of this. If let's say we're talking about what? one unit. Now, if n is 1, if n is 1, now that means our formula will be what now? TCN. That is TC. Okay, n is 1, then minus what now? TCN minus 1. 1 minus 1 is what? Is 0. That is TC naught. Okay, TC1 minus TC naught over what now? Q1 minus what? Q naught. Okay, so if we're talking about what? If n is 2 now, for example, all right, the quantity of output talk about is 2. We're going to have TC2 minus what? TC what? N minus 1. N is 2. 2 minus 1 is what? Is 1. 1 over what now? Q2 now minus n is 2. 2 minus 1 is what? Is 1. Okay, Q1. All right, so it's just keep talking about what the change. All right, so is the extra or additional cost a firm incurs when it produces an extra or additional unit. Okay, and marginal cost is what? Change in total cost over change in what? Q. Okay, now this is what we now brought it to be TCN minus, this is the general formula for it. Okay, TCN minus what? TCN minus 1. Okay, all over QN minus QN minus 1. Okay, so just be imputing, okay, when n is 1, when n is 2, when n is 3, and so on and so forth, and then we are good to go. So now let's talk about average variable cost. Average variable cost. All right, so please ensure you have liked this video, you have subscribed. All right, all our math classes are on YouTube complete also, so you want to help yourself. All right, especially those of you that are doing economics. You cannot do economics and not do math, so ensure you follow our math teachings also. Now let us talk about what's it called now? Average what? We'll talk about total cost, average cost, marginal cost. Okay, average variable cost next. Average variable cost. Don't call what? AVC. All right, so now let us talk about the average variable cost. Okay, so now the average variable cost is what? Is the cost of producing one variable cost of what? Of production. All right, one variable what? Factor rather of production. Right, the cost of producing one variable factor of production is called what? Average variable cost. Cost of producing one variable factor of production. This is the cost of producing only one variable factor of production. Okay, or say cost per unit of what? Of a variable factor of what? Production. Okay, that is the cost of producing only one variable factor, only one variable what? Factor of production. That's how we say AVC, average variable cost, is total variable cost over what? Over Q. All right, please take note of that. AVC is total variable cost over Q. They also have what now? Average fixed cost. Okay, in the same vein, this is what the cost, okay, per unit of a fixed factor of what production. Okay, cost per unit of a fixed factor of production. Okay, and of course, or the cost of producing only one fixed factor. So AFC will be what now? TFC, that is total fixed cost over what now? Q. All together. All right. So since average variable cost is the cost of producing only one variable factor, average fixed cost of producing what? One fixed factor. All right. So AVC, average variable cost, is TVC over Q. AFC, okay? Or AFC, yes, average fixed cost is what? Cost of producing what? One fixed factor. So AFC will be what? T, total fixed cost now over what? Over Q. All right, so we have all our formulas, okay? So we know that what? That total cost is what? Total fixed cost plus what? Total variable cost, okay? We know that what now? Our total fixed cost is total cost minus TVC. Okay, we know that our TVC is what? What's our TVC? TC minus what? TFC. All right, we know that our marginal cost, MC, is what? Change in what? Q over what? Over change in what? Sorry, change in total cost over what? Change in what? Q. All right, then we have what? Our average fixed cost, which is what now? TVC over Q. And then our what? Average what? Average variable cost, TVC over Q. Average fixed cost, TFC over what? Over Q. So we have all our formulas. You should put them and know them with handy. They are very, very important. Okay. So let us talk about their curves one more time. We are out of the class. We answer question and we are out of the class. All right. So pertaining to their curves, all right, we know that what? For the total fixed cost, TVC, total variable cost, and total cost. Okay, this is how it looks like. All right. So we said that what? That our total variable cost, okay, it's what? Starts from what? From 0. All right. So it goes up like this. All right. While our total fixed cost is what? It's fixed. It does not vary. It does not change. So it goes like this. Then this one is also our total variable cost. This one is our total fixed cost. So then our total cost now, what? Okay, this is what our total cost. All right, so this is the graph of what? Of the what's it called? Of the TVC, TFC, and the TC. Now, for the other costs, okay, like we have our MC, okay, our average fixed cost, total fixed cost, okay. So let us quickly just see them. All right, so for the other ones, we have what now? This, okay. So this is how the curve is. This one is what? Our average cost. Okay, then have another one below it. This is our average variable cost. Okay, then we now have what? Our another one like this, our average fixed curve. Then we now have our marginal cost like this. Sorry. Okay, this is what our marginal cost. Okay, so this is how what the curves looks like. Please take note of them. All right, they're very, very important. All right, so this we are going to what end. Okay, we'll talk about long and short run production periods. Okay, we say the short run is when what you can only what alter your scale of production. All right, so some factors of production are fixed, while others are what variable. All right, while in the long run you can alter what your factors of production. All of them are what variable in the long run. But in the short run, some are fixed, while others are variable. So now let us go. Let us answer questions. Where are the questions? Okay, so let us see. They say a firm, 2007, number 20. Number 20 says a firm incurs short-run costs when A say operation is at its early stage, B say it cannot increase prices, C say some input cannot be varied, D say operation is at its later stages. All right. So sometimes you need to, two or more options may seem correct, but you need to pick the most correct one, the one that sounds what economically what right and correct. So A looks like something that may be the answer, but the correct answer there is option C, because in the short run, so we say some factors of production are fixed, while some are what are variables. Okay, so C says some inputs cannot be varied. Some inputs cannot be varied in the short run. Some need to be fixed. Okay, while some need to be what varied. All right. So correct answer there is option C. Let us go to 2004, number 28. It says that in a textile factory, the cost of cotton used is a typical example. cost of cotton use is a typical example of what? A say that's a raw material, now isn't it? A say an average cost, B say a fixed cost, C say total cost, D says what? A variable cost. Okay, obviously that is what a total variable cost. It's an example of a TVC. It's a what? It's a variable cost. All right, so option D is what? Number 28 is what? 2004 28 is option D. 2001 number 24 says, which of the following is an example of a fixed cost that is fixed? Okay, you know what fixed costs are. Okay, your land, your buildings, your machineries, all of those. It's a fuel cost. B say rent on building, C say electricity bill, D says transportation what cost. Okay, that will be what? Rent on building. All right, correct answer is option B. 1994 number 15 says a company's expenditure on raw materials is regarded. Spend money on raw materials is regarded as what? A says explicit cost, B says implicit cost, C says prime cost, D says average cost. Is that implicit or explicit? Correct answer will be explicit, because that's the accountant view of cost. You actually pay money for it. All right, so explicit cost, option A. 1992 number 7 says, by definition, variable cost, VC, okay, is related to total cost, TC, and fixed cost by what? We say that total cost is what? TVC plus what? TFC, okay? So what option is correct? A say VC is equal to TC plus FC, B says VC is TC minus FC, C says VC is TC over FC, D says VC is TC times FC. Okay, correct answer there will be what? Would be option what? Option B. Okay, we know that what? VC, total variable cost is what now? TC minus what? TFC. Okay, minus TFC. All right, so you go to the app, search for this question using the question search feature. 1995 number 15. Search for 2018 number 32. Search for 2018 number 13. Search for 2017 number 27 and search. Okay, so those are okay. All right, so I will see you in the next class. We'll continue our study on theory of cost. See you there.